Somewhere in New York City, Eddie is trying to reclaim his van from a repair shop, but even offering all the cash he has, money meant for rent, still falls short of the bill. Just then, his phone rings. It's his daughter, Sarah. He declines the call, determined to keep arguing with the mechanic. Eddie explains that he desperately needs the van to pick up Sarah and to keep working his delivery jobs, yet the mechanic remains indifferent. Moments later, Eddie's ex-wife calls, furious that he still hasn't collected Sarah, who's waiting alone at school. She scolds him for never putting their daughter first and hangs up. Growing desperate, Eddie spots an employee's wallet on the counter. He provokes the man until he's shoved against the table, using the scuffle to slip the wallet into his own pocket unnoticed. Outside, Eddie opens the wallet only to discover a disappointing amount of cash. On the main avenue, he scans for an easy target but finds nothing unattended. He tugs at car door handles, hoping to find one unlocked, with no luck. One car houses a barking dog that startles him, until Eddie befriends the animal and even pours it some water. He phones various friends to ask for a loan, but no one is willing to help. His last-ditch attempt, buying lottery tickets, also fails when none of them win. The next time Sarah calls, he answers, enduring her hurt complaints about being abandoned. Nevertheless, she admits she still loves him. After hanging up, Eddie notices a luxury SUV parked in a secluded lot. He checks the door handle, and to his surprise, it's unlocked. Slipping inside, he rummages for valuables but finds only a pair of sunglasses. When someone walks past, he averts his face to avoid recognition. With nothing worth stealing, he prepares to leave, only to realize the door has closed itself and is now locked. Panicking, Eddie tries every handle and shoves at the doors, but none budge. Another passerby forces him to duck out of sight again. He punches and kicks the windows, yet the glass won't even crack. Suddenly, a dashboard tablet lights up with an incoming call from a contact labeled "Answer Me." Eddie ignores it and keeps searching for an escape, unaware that a hidden camera is silently watching him from inside the vehicle. In a compartment, he finds a lug wrench and slams it against the window, still to no effect. When the call ends, Eddie tears off a door panel and reaches inside, only to slice his arm on jagged metal. The tablet rings again. He keeps ignoring it while prying at the panel, which still won't release the lock. He checks his phone, but discovers he has no signal. With no alternatives left, Eddie finally answers the tablet. On the screen appears William, the SUV's owner. Eddie hurls insults and demands to be released, but William only chuckles and triggers the seats to deliver an electric shock. Calmly, William explains that his car has been broken into 6 times with 0 arrests, so he installed a custom security system that turns the vehicle into a mobile prison, and Eddie has just locked himself inside it. Panicked, Eddie pulls a gun from his bag and fires at the window. The bullet ricochets off the bulletproof glass and strikes his own leg, causing a severe wound. Moments later, a woman parks nearby, and Eddie desperately tries to get her attention. But the SUV's windows are tinted and soundproof, so she simply uses them as a mirror to check herself before driving off. Bleeding heavily, Eddie pleads for help, but William refuses to call an ambulance. He calmly claims to be a doctor and insists he can handle the situation himself. Eddie grabs his phone again, only to find it still has no signal. William then explains that the car is jamming all communications. Trying to stop the bleeding, Eddie ties his shoelace around his leg as a makeshift tourniquet, but it's not enough. Every time he swears, William triggers the car's seats to tase him again. The combination of the blood loss and repeated shocks eventually causes Eddie to lose consciousness. When he wakes up, it's nighttime and raining outside. To his surprise, his arm and leg wounds have been bandaged. He searches his bag for food or water, only to discover both his snack and water bottle are empty. The next morning, William calls again, attempting to share a personal story from his life. But Eddie is too frustrated to listen and snaps in anger, earning yet another tase. Then William blasts the air conditioning and starts playing yodeling music at full volume. At first, Eddie jokes that the music isn't bad, but after hours of repetition, it drives him to the brink of madness. That night, freezing cold, Eddie rips off the seat covers and wraps himself in them like a blanket. When William calls again, Eddie offers a heartfelt apology and promises to stay respectful. William silently turns off the air conditioning, but still refuses to release him. By the next morning, Eddie is so desperate he urinates into the now empty water bottle. Then he begins wrecking the interior of the SUV, hoping to find some hidden latch or weak point, but nothing gives way. William calls again, laughing at Eddie's efforts. During the call, Eddie notices someone watching the parking lot from a nearby balcony. He tries shouting to them, but when he gets snarky, William tases him again. Despite the pain, Eddie warns William that if he lets him die, there will be consequences. He insists he's not a murderer. His gun is only for protection. But William dismisses that, calling the police useless morons, and declares that he has no fear of being caught. He then reveals that he has terminal cancer and only 4 months left to live. That's why he's doing this, because the system has failed, and someone needs to take justice into their own hands. William demands Eddie's social security number so he can check his record. He says if it's Eddie's first offense, he'll go easier on him. But if Eddie has a criminal background, he plans to punish him by cutting off his fingers, like how thieves are dealt with in some countries. Eddie refuses to give a number and argues back, saying that people are driven to steal because the system doesn't provide jobs or opportunities. Meanwhile, the rich, like William, hoard the wealth and pretend to act righteous. Offended by Eddie's accusations, William tases him once more and abruptly ends the call, only to resume the torturous yodeling music. By evening, the interior of the SUV becomes unbearably hot. Eddie is forced to strip down to cope with the sweltering temperature. He glares at the rainfall outside, feeling like it's mocking him. In desperation, he even considers drinking his own urine, but he can't bring himself to do it. William calls again and offers to restore the temperature and provide water in exchange for Eddie's social security number. Exhausted and dehydrated, Eddie finally agrees to the deal. After confirming the number, William shuts off the heat and reveals that he had hidden a water bottle under the seat when he came to bandage Eddie's wounds. Eddie grabs the bottle and gulps it down in one go. Later, while trying to get some sleep, he feels something poking him from inside his jacket pocket. It's the stack of lottery tickets he bought earlier, and one of them hasn't been scratched. He finishes scratching it now and bursts into laughter when he realizes it's a winner. He's just won the money he so desperately needed. Just then, William calls back, asking what's so funny. Eddie begs him for food and delivers a sincere, heartfelt apology for his crime. Moved by Eddie's words and deciding he's not a maniac, William opens the glove compartment remotely, revealing a snack inside. Eddie lunges for it and notices a switch inside the compartment before it snaps shut. William hangs up, receiving another call, but Eddie can still hear him talking through the vehicle's speaker system. The conversation confirms William is, in fact, a doctor. Eddie then sees the silhouette of the figure on the nearby balcony moving, confirming that's where William has been all along. Once William leaves the balcony, Eddie flips off the camera. This time, there's no reaction, meaning William is no longer watching. Taking advantage of the moment, Eddie breaks open the glove compartment and takes a photo of the circuits with his phone, hoping to understand how the system works. He reaches in to try to activate the switch, but ends up painfully breaking a fingernail in the process. He tries again, but William returns and catches him, instantly shocking him through the seats. The following day, Eddie stays hunched in the front seat, pretending to rest, while secretly inserting his foot into the glove compartment, trying to reach the switch. Another day goes by, and Eddie grows so weak from hunger and thirst that he's left with no choice but to finally drink his own urine. That night, his persistence pays off. He finally manages to flick the hidden switch with his foot, powering on the car. Eddie immediately scrambles into the driver's seat and takes off. But the victory is short-lived. The car stops just minutes later. William calls him to mock his escape attempt. Then the SUV starts moving again, but now it's under William's control, remotely operated. As the car rolls through the streets of New York, William plays classical music and launches into a monologue, declaring that fear rules the city now, and that crime has taken over. Eddie panics when the SUV suddenly accelerates, tearing through city streets until it screeches to a halt in a dim alley where 2 thugs are assaulting a man. William flicks on the headlights and blasts the horn, drawing one attacker's attention. The thug lifts his shirt to display a handgun, just as the vehicle lunges forward and mows him down, prompting William's delighted laughter. The second assailant bolts in terror, firing wildly, but the bullets ping harmlessly off the armored glass. A pursuit ensues. The thug darts around a corner, only to meet a dead end blocked by a steel gate. William floors the accelerator, ramming the barrier and slamming the thug beneath it. When the bleeding man tries to rise, William edges the SUV forward again, pinning him. Eddie screams, begging William to stop. The vehicle backs up, but only for a moment. With chilling calm, William surges ahead once more, crushing the thug's skull. Furious, Eddie unleashes a string of profanity. In response, William cranks deafening music and rockets back into traffic, weaving so recklessly that the SUV barely avoids oncoming cars. It hurtles up the spiraling ramps of a parking garage and onto the rooftop, accelerating even faster to jolt Eddie. At the roof's edge, the SUV slams its brakes. Eddie smashes his head against the dash and blacks out. Morning light finds the car, still in motion. William cheerfully announces he visited Eddie's family, even escorting Sarah to school under the guise of working for a charity. While rebuking Eddie for unpaid alimony, he parks outside the school. Eddie watches in horror as Sarah exits the building. The SUV tails her down the street, swerving so near it seems intent on mowing her down. Spotting the menace, Sarah pushes her scooter harder while Eddie, weeping, pours out frantic apologies and declarations of love. Unimpressed, William increases speed. Desperate, Eddie grabs his pistol and tries to end his own life, only to discover it's empty. William calmly explains he removed the bullets when he stitched Eddie's wounds. For the rest of the day, Eddie sits in stunned silence while William continues railing against society. After nightfall, Eddie snaps. He rips out every interior camera and smashes the dashboard tablet with repeated kicks. The SUV keeps cruising, so Eddie scrolls through photos of Sarah and records a heartfelt video, admitting he's failed her and begging forgiveness. But the message can't be sent. The car's signal jammer still blocks all transmissions. A few moments later, the SUV pulls into a different parking lot, and to Eddie's shock, the window rolls down. William is right there, casually greeting him. Panicking, Eddie tries to attack, but William responds by tossing him repeatedly until he settles down. Disgusted by the smell of Eddie's feces, William sprays perfume into the vehicle before tossing some zip ties to Eddie and ordering him to bind his wrists. At first, Eddie refuses, but after another shock, he gives in and secures his wrist to a hook inside the car. William then enters the SUV and places a bag in the back seat. He reloads Eddie's gun with the bullets he had taken earlier, then gives him a cigarette to smoke and drops some gummy bears for him to eat. With classical music playing in the background, William drives off. During the ride, Eddie continues to ask about William's daughter, which clearly agitates him. Every time Eddie brings it up, William slams the brakes, causing Eddie to bash his head into the dashboard. Eventually, William snaps and begins ranting about the younger generation. He reveals that his daughter was killed during an attempted car theft, and the trauma of losing her still fuels his rage. As emotions boil over, he even points the gun at Eddie's head while the two argue about the true meaning of justice. All the while, Eddie keeps one foot quietly inside the glove compartment, trying to reach the hidden switch. Finally, he manages to press it, shutting off the car's power system. The vehicle immediately loses control and veers off the road, plunging off a cliff. Eddie smashes his nose on the dashboard from the impact, and William accidentally discharges the gun. The bullet ricochets off the windows and ends up striking William from behind. The SUV crashes down the hill and comes to a stop near a river. Both men fall unconscious from the wreck. The following morning, Eddie's phone sends the unsent message to Sarah, now that the jamming system is no longer active. Eddie regains consciousness first and begins struggling to break free from the zip ties. He finally succeeds just as William comes to, and a brutal fight breaks out between the two. Fueled by all his bottled-up rage and trauma, Eddie beats William and gets hold of the gun, ready to end it. But at that moment, his phone rings. It's a call from Sarah. William urges him to answer it, and Eddie hears his daughter's voice, trembling with concern after receiving his heartfelt message. Eddie assures her he's all right and promises to come pick her up. Suddenly, the engine catches fire and flames begin spreading. Eddie pleads with William to unlock the doors, but William just smiles and says it was fun before dying. Eddie scrambles to the back seat and searches William's bag, where he finds a hammer, strong enough to shatter the window at last. He smashes his way out and escapes from the car just before the fire engulfs the rest of the vehicle. Clutching his winning lottery ticket, Eddie limps away, leaving William's burning body behind. Eventually, he makes it to a road where a driver spots him and, seeing his injuries, immediately offers him a ride. Later, Eddie arrives at the repair shop to collect his van, but the mechanic is still finishing up the repairs. Not wanting to waste more time or be late, Eddie decides to sell the van to the mechanic on the spot. With the cash, he buys a bicycle and rides straight to Sarah's school. There, he finally reunites with his daughter and embraces her in a tight, emotional hug.